Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today while I'm in Southern California. I just want to let you know in advance, my Wi-Fi connection here at the hotel was having some issues this morning. It seems to be straightened out now, but if I drop off, I will be 100% apologize in advance. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Um, so anyways, as you might know, this was a very last minute trip. And um, basically what happened was I realized schedule coming up, and so did my husband, and our work travel just was going to make it impossible to see each other. So tagged along on this trip to try and spend some time with him, and of course to see a little bit of the country that I hadn't seen before. Kind of that, a big destination, and I hadn't been here yet. So between the fact that this was a last minute trip and the fact that it's a city and I don't usually make a lot of trips to cities, I had some preconceived ideas of what I would find on this. And to be perfectly honest, I had no idea what I was talking about or thinking about. So LA is a big city, and in my head, it was a place that people live and people work. But from a tourism standpoint, it was all about Disney. And those are obviously big draws to the city itself from a travel standpoint. But there's way than that. And I didn't really realize that coming in. I had really no clue what I would be doing. So if you want to go on studio, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, or go ride roller coasters or see Mickey Mouse, more power to you. But I wouldn't limit yourself to thinking that this is all about. In the last couple of days, some of the things I've done have been going to a museum. It's really cool. There's some tar pits right outside. But the inside of the museum talks about fossils and paleontology that goes on in this area, and the history of the ice ages and California. Really kind of a cool place to go. There's obviously Hollywood, which I skipped all the movie stuff. I am so terrible with pop culture that none of it would really mean anything to me anyway. But there is this really cool place in Hollywood called the Cirque School, and it's a circus school. They teach you things like aerial silks, trapeze moves, and acrobatics, things like back wheels, and way more involved things that I have absolutely no business trying or doing, but it was a lot of fun anyway. Some really, really hands-on stuff that you don't find in a lot of the rest of the world. I walked through parks. I went window shopping in Beverly Hills. There is just a lot to do to keep you occupied, and I've only seen a fraction of the city. I haven't seen the Pacific Ocean yet, which is kind of crazy because LA is such a beach destination. But I'll be going there later on in the night to see Santa and Venice Beach, and maybe some of the further south communities as well, like Manhattan Beach, just to kind of get a feel for the different way. So I'm still looking for any suggestions if you guys have some. I'm hoping to go surfing. We'll see what and also if I have any business trying that as well. I went surfing once before, but California waves the idea, and to be honest, I wasn't that great the first time around, so it's going to be a little bit of an adventure. So I don't know if you guys have been watching lately, but it's kind of cool. LA is having a huge heat wave right now, which is terrible for some of the people here on Sunday, and it's just going to be outrageously hot for them. I feel a little bit bad for them. But it's great for me. The winter weather in Richmond has, I don't know why. I used to snow. I actually like winter, and this year I've had too much of it. So it's great to be out in the sun. I haven't actually been swimming or anything like that yet, but theoretically you could. It's actually that warm, and that's really convenient. So as far as coming to LA, there's a couple of things set in their head that I kind of like to set the record straight on. And the first is public transportation. Everybody knows that it is a driver's city. Everybody packs into their car and they drive from one place to another, and the traffic is horrendous. Well, that part's true. Traffic is absolutely terrible. But as a tourist, it's actually very avoidable. If you think about it, chances are on vacation, you're probably not getting up early enough to be on the road at 7 a.m. in order to drive into downtown Los Angeles. Nobody really gets up that early on vacation. Or actually, people do. I used to be one of those people. But you're going to have a more loose start to your day, and so you're not going to be fighting that traffic first thing in the morning. And frankly, even if you are getting up early, there's no reason why you go to those neighborhoods anyway, so that you don't have to get on the road and do all of that. The metro actually was more comprehensive than I expected. I had heard terrible things about public transportation, and the subway actually got you to a fair amount of, and supplements. I got around just fine for a couple of days. I don't know if stupid for trying to do it on public transportation. There were a couple of times when I know things took a lot longer to get from one place to another than they would have if I, but on the same wavelength, there is absolutely no stress of trying to navigate a big and complex city and issues. There's no hassles. And to be perfectly honest, I hate driving. So I did it for only $7 a pass. You can get all over the city. Expect some long drives. Expect that once you get in one place, you're going to be walking around. You can walk a lot within neighborhoods, which is really cool. I walked up and down Beverly Hills, no problem. I walked up and down, which is kind of a trendy neighborhood with lots of shopping and weird stores, things like organic dog foods, very specific niche items. So it's kind of cool just to see things that you had never even heard of before. And one of the best parts of LA that I've found so far is just how friendly everybody is. I could not believe people's attitudes here. It's amazing. Everybody is just saying hello. They're greeting you. They want to know where you're from. In the United States, where people will just come up and approach you as you're waiting at a bus stop, or as you're waiting in line in stores, or as you're just, walking along the street. If they have something to say, they'll actually stop and say hello. Or it's probably been one of the best parts of my trip to LA is just kind of meeting these people. So anyways, one of the other things I wanted to talk about was prices. Is LA expensive? I have to say I was shocked at how affordable Los Angeles actually is. I did New York City about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was possible, but it took effort. And in LA, I feel like you can just get away with low price having to try that hard. I stayed at a hostel in Hollywood. It was $38 a night. That was great, but assuming that you are one of those people who actually likes a space to themselves, which is great. Hotels were not that expensive. I saw a lot of called Hotel Tonight, which I use frequently, at about that $125 range, which is amazing for in a downtown area. I already talked about how cheap it can be for public transportation, but if you choose to rent a car and drive yourself around, even parking was relatively affordable, at least compared to other urban cities. There were some spots of the city that I actually felt saw on-street parking or normal standard parking lots. But even when you had to pay, a lot of times you could get your parking validated. There were big signs so that you, if you were a customer of a store or a restaurant, they would actually pay for a couple hours of parking. And if you did have to pay, it seemed to be around $15 a day, which, I mean, compared to somewhere like New York City, that's an absolute bargain. Restaurant prices were reasonable. As Richmond restaurants where I'm from are outrageously expensive. But LA was what I would consider affordable. Trucks everywhere for really great food at low prices. I had a really, really filling lunch in Little Tokyo at a tiny hole-in-the-wall place called Daikoku. But I had some Japanese gyoza dumplings and a bowl of ramen that ended up $12, I think, combined. Really filling lunch for not that much money. And even the activities that I've been doing is relatively affordable. So as long as you avoid the $6 cupcakes and the $500 face cream that someone tried to sell me over in Beverly Hills, you'll be all right. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So the next thing on my list is actually leaving the LA area to go up towards Santa Barbara and see more of Southern California. It's kind of more in tune with what I normally do. I'll do some hiking, finish that off with some local wine tasting or maybe a craft beer because I can never choose. I'm gonna rent a kayak and go to the Channel Islands National Park, which is a really cool, I can't wait to kind of discover and explore. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's gonna be a really big change of pace. And then I'm going to end up finishing my vacation by going back to Los Angeles, but to a part of the city that I haven't been to yet, which is Santa Monica. So that, to me, is the other iconic experience of LA, and it's going to be, I think, a really good way to end the trend. Just soak up that Californian culture and that California vibe. So that's pretty much my thoughts on Los. I don't know if anyone has questions, either for advice if they're planning a trip there, or if they just want to tell me I'm crazy because I do most visitors to California. And I have one awesome question from Mark, wondering if superheroes, which there are plenty of in California, are allowed to fly in the city. And to be perfectly 100%, but my best guess is that yes. That flying would be allowed. I mean, just look at all the movies that have been filmed there. I'm sure none of that was special effects. I'm sure all of that was the real deal. I don't know if there are any other questions, but I'll give it a minute to see if something else comes in. Otherwise, I am going to shut my afternoon. I know it's happy hour for some of you already, but I unfortunately still have some work to do. Believe it or not, I have not. I'm just working remotely from LA here. But there are more great things coming, so it's okay to get some work done in the meantime.